Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds, and welcome back to another Ask the Cheeseman, where you can ask all your home cheese making questions. We've got lots of people on the chat today, and it's great to see so many people watching the stream. What are we up to? We're up to episode 128. Never thought I'd get here. We're getting close to 150, and those who can see in the background, you can see I've just clicked over 160,000 subscribers, so I'm very happy with that. Bit of housekeeping. So we've got new YouTube members. G'day to Larry, and Larry's in the chat there somewhere, Mr. Deep South Texas. Thank you, Larry, for supporting the show financially, and to Chris K, who's another new YouTube member. We've also got a swag of new patrons, which is fantastic. G'day to Raphael, Jordan, Matt, Donna, and Stephen. Thank you all for becoming patrons of the show on a monthly basis. I'm very excited about that and the future of the channel. Some of the videos that I've been working on, and I've been a bit slow on releasing videos lately because I've got some news about Kim in a minute. But this weekend, well, I'm hoping this weekend's video will be the raw milk camembert that I made with the cold pressed milk. I followed the traditional Normandy recipe for camembert de Normandy. It's not that, but you know, you get the picture. And then I made 2 weeks ago, I made a kefili because I wanted to redo my kefili video, seeing it's one of the best quick cheeses for a beginner. So I wanted to remake that, and that's all good. So they're the videos coming up. I'll have some shorter ones going in. I've got some taste tests I want to do as well. But anyway, on with the Kim news, and Kim's in the chat too today, and a lot of people asking Kim how she's going. She finished her second surgery, and the results from pathology came back, and she's been diagnosed with early breast cancer. So they found a small tumour of, I think it was about 6 millimetres that was in the margins around the DCIS. So that's disappointing, but, you know, we're going to get through it. And they took 5 of the sentinel lymph glands from that side of her body, as well under her armpit, and they found some cancer cells in one out of the 5 of the sentinel lymph glands. So she has to now undergo another surgery to get rid of some more bad tissue, and she has to have chemotherapy, and she also has to have radiotherapy as well. So Kim and I are well, she's more upbeat than me, I suppose. But no, we know the prognosis is good because it's all been caught early. So, but Kim's moderating the show. We're going to go down to just Wednesdays at this stage for the live stream. So there's not much we can do than that because you know, we're still recovering from the second surgery. She's got to go into the third surgery in late November. So it's only, 2 weeks away before she has a third surgery. No, Kim's not my dog. Kim's my wife, for those asking. Anyway, yeah, so that's the state of affairs at the moment. And sorry to be a bit of a downer, but Kim's going to be fine. We're going to get through. We've got some fantastic medical staff, surgeons, and there's a good oncologist we're going to go to as well, and get it all sorted. So that's what's going on. The cheese videos will still be coming, probably about one every 2 weeks, the way we're going. But yeah, we'll be doing it, as Kim's just said, one step at a time. So, woof woof, you're funny, honey. So sorry to bring the tone of the conversation down a little bit, but that's what's going on in our personal lives, and you'll understand what's going on. And thank you so much, Occult Nino, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And got the good nerd light flashing, but yeah, she'll get there. That's for sure. Okay, and there's other side. There's your gold star. Alrighty, let's go back to the start. Some shout outs for the show. Let's say hello to the first person, which was Helen. G'day, Helen. We got Milos. We'll get to your question in a minute, mate. Gladys. G'day, Craig, Bruce, Patricia, Mr. Neo Edge, Larry, Deep South Texas, John. G'day, John. Zarana, I think that's how you pronounce it. Steve, Ken. G'day, Ken. Monique. G'day, Monique. Looks like you're back from Italy. Lovely to see you. Tricky Ghost. G'day. Darren. Cine Star. I think that's how you pronounce it. Manel. G'day, mate. Who else? Kevin. G'day, Kevin. Ambrose. Chris B. You leak, please. I think. B. Wayne. Colin. Matthew, and Gene, and a few others, but that'll do at the moment. And Kangamoo, I think you're there as well. All right, so let's start with the questions, which is why we're here. Milos says, "Good morning, Gavin. How do you store your cheese after you finish aging? I have vacuum packed some of them, but they have gone bad." That's unusual because I vacuum pack all of my cheeses after I've used them. Well, not all of them. So it depends. So fresh cheeses and mold ripened cheeses, I tend not to vac pack unless they're hard, like the Shropshire Blue. So that I've got that vacuum packed, and that goes all right. We pull a piece out every so often. It's very nice. So things like Camembert and soft blue cheeses, I simply wrap them in, leave them in their wrapper. If they're white mold cheese, like the Camembert or Brie or what have you. If it's a blue cheese, then I tend to wrap it in wax paper, and that helps it dry out a little bit if it's a bit runny. So, and that stores for a few weeks. They're not long-lasting cheeses. And fresh cheeses, usually I keep them in airtight, like Tupperware containers that have got a seal, and that keeps any of the beasties out and prevents some of the mold growth. But you've got to eat them fairly quick. But that's how I store my cheese after they've been aged. So, and that's at 4 degrees Celsius in the kitchen fridge, and they last a lot longer. But great question. Thanks, Milos. Gladys says, "Could you please teach us how to make queso de mano? It's delicious. It's made in Venezuela." Thank you. I'll see if I can find a recipe or something there. Queso de mano. And we'll see how we go. But it's on the list. But anything on the list doesn't necessarily mean it gets made. But thanks for the suggestion, Gladys. Craig says he's new to the channel. He's looking forward to it. Thank you, Craig. Bruce saying g'day to everybody. Patricia, rainy in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Yeah, nice. Nice. Rainy. It's been rainy here too. In fact, out of all the states in Australia, besides Tasmania, so Victoria and Tasmania have been having fairly cool weather compared to the rest of Australia. And you've probably seen it in the news that a lot of New South Wales and some of Queensland and some of Western Australia, they're in drought conditions here in Australia. And they're having catastrophic bushfires, crazy bushfires for this time of the year. You know, it's not even summer yet, and we're getting really crazy bushfires. Anyway, my thoughts go out to all the people who are affected by the bushfires. Hopefully, you're safe and well and have avoided the worst of it. And big thanks goes out to all the firefighters that have been fighting all of the bushfires here in Australia as well. Thank you, guys and girls. Okay, John has said, I'm already in intensive care from cheesy withdrawal. I need my dose of cheesiness to keep me healthy and strong. Indeed you do, John, and that's why we're here. Zorana says, I purchased raw cow's milk, Jersey milk. I use your cheddar recipe and followed it step by step. Step by step. The milk never set a curd. What do you think went wrong? Do I need to do something with the raw milk? Not usually. Raw milk sets a curd very well. Could be some issues with your rennet, I think. And it depends on the lactation stage of the cow as well. If it's late in the lactation stage, so as the cow's beginning to dry up, then you'll find that the curds don't set as well anyway because there are less proteins in the milk. So I'd definitely check the rennet. I'd buy some pasteurised, homogenised milk and test your rennet on it. But yeah, that's what I think may have gone wrong, Zorana. Where else? John says, may the cheese be with you all. Cool. Ken says, hi, Gavin from the UK. I've been following you for a couple of years. I do not recall you ever using a pH meter. Do you ever use one? I don't own one. Don't use it. Don't own it. I only ever use pH strips, Ken, and that's because when I'm making a pasta filata cheese, then I'll tend to check the pH to make sure it's down to 5.5, between 5.3 and 5, and then then I know it's ready to stretch. But that's the only ever time I use a pH meter. If I wanted to repeat the cheeses over and over perfectly like a commercial cheesemaker, then yeah, I'd take pH readings at various stages. The first stage would be before I added anything to the milk, so when I warmed it up. Next stage I'd test is after the cultures have ripened, so after the ripening. Then I'd test after I've cut the curd, and then I'd check after I'd stirred the curd just before pressing. They're the stages I'd check, and obviously you write it all down and make sure that if you're going to repeat that cheese, then you'll know what stages the pH is going to be at, and that you don't go past it to get almost a replica of the cheese that you first made. So it's one of the reasons people use pH meters. Okay. Patricia says, my natural rind Gruyere will be 6 months old in January. If I take a quarter to try now, how best to continue ripening the rest? Maturation box or vac pack? Let me think. A quarter to try now. Oh, okay. So I've done that before when it's, ripe. The cheese is ready to eat, but you want to mature the rest of it. I simply then take the quarter out and then vacuum pack the rest, put it back in the cheese cave. The rind would have developed already, Patricia, so you shouldn't have any issues there. And it'll work fine. Now, Monique said, from Sydney, g'day, Gav. I'm back from Italy and have the day off to watch this segment live. That's nice. Thanks, Monique. Hope Kim is okay. Well, we've got the news now. Anyway, Patricia says, how are you folks going as far as the fires? I've heard that New South Wales is particularly bad hit. Yeah, indeed. I think we just covered that. But thank you, Patricia. John says, thumbs up, people. Yeah, we got 61 people on the stream and only 19 likes. Hit the thumbs up button. That would be great. And more people will get to see these segments. YouTube will recommend them more. Darren says, hey, Gavin, this is the first for moi. That's French, I think. Greetings from the UK, expat in Germany. Thanks, mate. Manel says, hi, Gavin, hope you and Kim are well. Thanks, Manel. Patricia says, Gavin, I noticed that some of your very early videos use Chuck's cloth in place of cheesecloth. Do you still recommend Chuck's for some cheeses and why? No, I don't, Patricia, because I found after a bit of trial and error and some of the early videos, you're 100% right there. I do use the Chuck's cleaning cloth that I'd boiled because I was a bit stingy back then. But I've now advanced to just using cheesecloth. And the reason I don't use Chucks anymore because the fibres come loose and they got embedded in the cheese, and I don't want any. And it's plastic. It's nylon something, spun nylon cloth. Doesn't biodegrade. So I would rather use organic cotton cheesecloths, which I do, and when I'm finished with them, I'll either cloth band a cheese with them if it's the loose weave. If it's the tight weave one, I'll simply just compost it, and compost breaks down. It's great. And no fluff. I don't get any fluff in the cheeses at all, but you do if you use those Chucks, so don't use those. John says, woohoo, 160,000. Thank you, John. Yes, indeed. Mr. Neo Edge says, question. There is a lot of hype around this so-called cheese. What exactly is cheese in the first place? Yes, a very simple question, but well asked. Cheese is rotting milk, basically. That is the easiest and simplest way to put it. It is cheese that is in a state of it's milk in the stage of decomposition that has been solidified with the use of either an acid or rennet, which can be animal or vegetable. That's what cheese is. Gavin says, what's the oldest cheese you've made and tasted? Let me think. So the cheddar that I had was a year old that I made, and that tasted amazing. I've aged some Romano, so Vicino Romano, which is cow's milk Romano. I aged that for 18 months, and that was absolutely fantastic. I've actually got some Pecorino Romano made from sheep's milk, and that hasn't been tasted. It's nearly 2 years old, but it's still sitting in the cheese fridge, maturing away as it does. And I'll be tasting that soon. And I'm going to make some pasta. I still haven't got around to making pasta. I'm sorry to everybody who got their hopes up after the mead video, and I said I was going to try something a little bit different. But yeah, I haven't got around to doing that yet. I got the flour. That's about as far as I got. And I got the eggs out of the chook house, the chicken house. We call them chooks here in Australia. But yeah, that's what's going down. B. Wayne says, good day. It's 16:31 here, so it's 4:31 in the afternoon, -5 GMT. -5. Oh, okay. So it must be somewhere in the, maybe, I don't know. Don't know where that is. Anyway, I have to bring a map up. Doesn't matter. Okay. Matthew says, or Colin says, g'day first. Matthew says, can you explain or do a video on how to make a blue cheese by starting with store-bought blue cheese instead of using Penicillium roqueforti culture? I don't have a reliable source for that culture. Okay, yes, it can be done. Now, let's stop some confusion straight away. Penicillium roqueforti is not a culture, it's a mold. It doesn't have lactic bacteria in it. It is a mold, and it reproduces using things called spores. So it's a mold. So yes, you can remold cheese from other cheese, so store-bought cheese, if you want to. However, you usually can't reculture a new cheese from an old cheese. You usually have to either use raw milk or the whey from cheese that was produced using raw milk, as they do with Grana Padano. They put the whey back in from the day before, which is full of lactic bacteria. A couple of ways around it. So for a mesophilic starter culture, you can use cultured buttermilk, which can be store-bought, and you can add some of that to your milk, and that will culture the milk, so that will work. If you're using a thermophilic, or you need to use the thermophilic culture instead, then you can use live yogurt, or yogurt, or whatever you want to call it. So yogurt, and add some of that to the milk, and that will inoculate it with thermophilic starter cultures. However, there's one thermophilic starter culture that's in yogurt that gives it the tangy, tarty, so it creates a lot of acid, and that's Lactobacillus bulgaris, which is it's a lactobacteria that causes high acidity. So you'll get a little bit of yogurty sort of taste if you do use yogurt instead. Okay. Will says, sorry for being a noob. Can you give me a rundown on starting equipment for cheese making? Now, Kim, I think if you can find the link, there should be a video on equipment for cheese making somewhere. Can you pop the link in there for Will? Jean says, hello, greetings from Belgium. G'day, Jean. How are you? Michael says, no question, just want to check on Kim, make sure you, and both you in my prayers. God bless you both. Thank you very much, Michael. Okay, now, where am I up to? Where are we up to? I'm after a Colt Nino super chat. Thank you for that $10 super chat, by the way. Tricky Ghost says, Kim, can you make cheese? Kim's actually, I don't think she's ever made cheese. So that would be interesting to get her in a video, but that's cool. Oh yeah says, yay, jolly good to see you live broadcasting again. Thank you very much. Kangaroo says, sorry to hear, best wishes for you both. Oh yes says, love from Korea. Bob and Barb says, hi Gav. Jordan says, good to see you. Thanks, mate. Aga says, hello. Hiya, Mr. and Mrs. Webbo. Right, thanks, Aga. Matthew says, g'day, Kim and World of Curd Nerds. Where are we? Ambrose says, hi, Gavin. I made some goat's butter and tastes really good, but it's really crumbly and doesn't spread. How do I fix this? Good question, well asked. I've never made goat's butter because it's difficult to get the cream. We've got a super chat there. Who's this? This is Molith. I think that's how you pronounce it. Sending you both a lot of good energy for recovery. Thank you very much, Molith, for your kind $5 super chat and your lovely message. And there's your gold star. I love the gold star. Anyway, what was I up to? Ambrose. No, I don't know how to fix this because I've never made butter with goat's cream. I didn't even know you could do goat's cream. I suppose if you used a separator, you could get some of the fat out of the goat's milk, but it doesn't naturally float to the top because the fat globules are a lot smaller within goat's milk. So, no, I don't know how to fix that, Ambrose. Sorry. KO says, is it okay if we call you Curd Wizard? Curd Nerds, fine. Don't worry about the Curd Wizard. Ken says, Australian temperatures are far higher than that of the UK. Will timings make much difference in cheese making? Will timings? I'm not sure what you're on about there, Ken. I think timings for temperatures. Look, our house is double glazed, so one of the few homes around here that is. And the temperatures are chalk and cheese. So when it's about 35 Celsius, don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, it's usually about 21 degrees here inside the house. And if it starts to warm up for whatever reason, like we've left a window open or something stupid like that, we'll pop the air conditioner on for about half an hour and the whole place cools down. We've also, the ceiling's double insulated as well. So we have very high R value in the, what are they called? The fibre, rock wool, whatever it is, in the roof, and that keeps the place fairly cool as well. So, yeah, it's really good. But 21. I know when I visited the UK, because Kim is English, every time we go over there in the winter, the houses are hot as anything. So you come in from the cold and you go inside, it's like 25, 26 degrees. So, which I suppose compared to the outside temperature is extremely hot. So you're going to take all your coats, your hats, your gloves, all your jackets, all that, and put your bloody T-shirt on because it's like the tropics. But anyway, I hope people don't do that anymore. But anyway, Chocolate RX says, good to see you, Gavin. Good to see Kim here. Thank you very much. Patricia says, have you made a video for quark? No, I haven't. It's fairly simple too, but I can do that. I used to have a quark kit online in the store, but nobody ever bought it, so I don't stock it anymore. But it's very simple. Steve says, could you make your own signature cheese for us based on your experience? Your curd nerds would love to see what kind of cheese the Cheese Amadeus creates, given creative control. Well, I've already done that, Steve. So you can go and check out my Petite Blue is a creation of my own. And a lot of people have replicated that, and it tastes amazing. If you want a simple blue cheese, then you can go and do that. Another one I've created is my Bloomy Goat Blue, which is a lovely little blue cheese, which doesn't actually have any veining, but it tastes like a blue cheese. It's an ash-coated white mold blue cheese made from goat's milk. Oh, I'll tell you what, it was fabulous. So try the Bloomy Goat Blue. Very, very nice indeed. So there's two cheeses I've created myself. So get into those, and if Kim can find the links, that will be excellent. Aslam says, I have no lipase. What is the substitute? After making mozzarella, how can preserve this? Aslam, lipase. So if you can't get your hands on it, add 25% goat's milk to your cow's milk, if that's what you're using. And you'll find that goat's milk has a higher concentration of lipase, even if it's been pasteurized. Raw milk has a high, raw cow's milk has a high content of lipase as well. So you find that a lot of Italian cheesemakers don't add it to their cheeses if they're using raw milk. Now, how to keep your mozzarella? Let it dry out a little bit. If it's quick mozzarella, you really can't keep it for very long. You can freeze it and then grate it. But if it's traditional mozzarella, then you can hang it using a rope, like I did with the small provolones that I made, and they basically turned into provolones. Very simple, same sort of recipe, and they will last for up to, if you make them big enough, and they retain the moisture, then 4 months ish they'll last. They'll go fairly hard though, but yeah, you can use those. Sadie, I think that's how you pronounce it, says, hi, can I use brine which has mold ripening cheese for a washed rind cheese? Yeah, you can. What you do is you pasteurize your brine. So what I do, if I've made, say, a bunch of camemberts and I've brined them, and then the next cheese that I want to make is, say, an Italian hard cheese or something like that, and I don't want the molds to transfer over to that cheese from the brine, what I do, I boil the brine for about 15 minutes. So, like, make sure it's boiling, the brine. And that pasteurizes the brine and kills off any of the lactic cultures that may be alive in it, and any molds or yeasts that may be alive in the brine as well. Brine's pretty hardy stuff. You can reuse it over and over and over again. Just make sure you pasteurize it and filter it if you need to. I just use a sieve, and that gets rid of any chunky bits of cheese that may be left over from the last cheese making session. So yes, you can reuse your brine. Aslam says, what is cheese coating? Well, you can use cheese wax, or cheese coating is a PVA or polyvinyl acetate liquid coating that is has antifungal and antibacterial properties. And a lot of Dutch cheeses tend to use this coating, PVA coating, rather than waxing their cheeses. Matthew says, no questions. I just wanted to say that I cracked open my Gouda on the weekend, made from your recipe, and it was amazing. Everybody was very impressed. It was my first really good cheese. Congratulations, Matthew. Gouda is a lovely cheese, and that recipe is, well, I won't say foolproof, but it is pretty good. I was impressed when I opened up my Gouda as well. Gladys says, hello again. I have calcium chloride in grains. How much do I need for 2 gallons of milk? So calcium chloride is usually in a solution. So it's a 30% solution by weight of water. So you will have to dilute it with pure water. Gladys is the best way to do it, and then you can use the calcium chloride. Calcium chloride the way I do it, by adding it there. There is a link. Can I find? No, I won't be able to find it. You go onto YouTube, not YouTube. Go onto Google and search for making calcium chloride for cheese making, and you'll probably stumble across a Canadian friend of mine, Ian Trower, who's big into cheese making, and he makes his own calcium chloride using the stuff from Ball called Pickle Crisp, which is calcium chloride in a powdered form. So try that out. Zachary says, hey Gavin, love all the videos. Think I have made my way through most. Will we get another mead video soon? Would love to see other flavours and your thoughts on them. Yes, indeed, Zach. I will be making some more mead. I'm going to put down a batch of the same one I made, so I won't video that, but I'll just have that fermenting in the background because I've got the honey for that. Still some of that really dark honey that I used the first time, so I'll use that again. And I bought some other honey from a local supplier, a local apiarist, so I'm going to be making a different type of mead, and I want to get some of that, I think it's Levin, what is it, D47? Hang on, I've got it written down here somewhere. Where is it? Yeah, Levin D47, which is a champagne yeast, which is sometimes used for making mead. So I'm going to get some of that and make a drier, a stronger mead with some more flavours. I think that'll be lovely. But yes, Zach, I'll be doing that. Turbo Jones says, question, basement is 60 Fahrenheit. Is that enough? If not, what will happen? Hang on, let me just check. Convert 60 Fahrenheit into Celsius.
It's 15.6 degrees Celsius.
15.6. Yeah, harder cheeses, definitely. I don't think there'll be any problems there. If you wax them, especially if your basement's not very humid, then, you'll need to wax or vacuum pack the cheeses to store down there. They may mature a little bit fast. Just check that. 13 Celsius is the best, which is, 55 Fahrenheit is probably the best. Laura said, I just made a wine-infused cheddar, but manhandled it during the drying phase. Big crack in the wheel, at least 1 inch deep. Is it salvageable? Yes, Laura, it is. Best way to salvage it is to vac pack it so it kind of knits back together again under the pressure. So that's the best way to salvage it, and then just mature it as normal. Should be good. Rona says, good evening from the UK. I've made your Stilton type cheese. It is 3 months old, and the top and the sides are still wet. It's wrapped in wax paper and foil. So if scrape it off, is that okay? Yes, do that. So scrape off the mold, dry it with with paper towel, and then you can rewrap it to stop the molds growing profusely. All right. Jan Paul says, hi, Gavin and Kim. Thanks for the awesome resource and community you've created. Thank you, Jan. No problems at all. Now, you got a question here. Making a natural rind tome in New York City, would placing store-bought wedge of tome de Savoie, I think that's how you pronounce it, near my new wheel of tome in the aging space help introduce some molds from another part of the world? Yeah, it would. If there's some molds growing on the outside, you'll usually get cross-contamination, which is, in this case, would be a good thing. So, yeah, try it out. Hawkey, I think that's how you say it. G'day, Gav. Are some thermophilic cultures more suitable for pasta filata than others? Yes, indeed. Let me think. Pasta filata, Jesus. Yeah, so thermophilic high acidifying. Fast acidifying. Let me just check my website. 2 seconds. And let's bring it up. So over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au, and just bringing that up. If we go to the cheese making section, I do have a culture, a thermophilic that's specifically for making, say, mozzarella. That's a thermophilic. Find it. Where is it? So this one here, I'm just getting some more stocks in. They're coming over from New Zealand, which is where this culture's from. So the strains you're kind of looking for, where is it? Where's the strains? Okay, so down here, I don't know if you can see that in the ingredients. Lactobacillus delbrecki subspecies bulgaris and Streptococcus thermophilus are the main thermophilic types that you use for making pasta filata cheese. It usually produces the quickest acid, so that works very well. Okay, so there you go. That's the thermophilic culture you're kind of after. But lots of different manufacturers will have different brand names, but just look for the ones that are specifically designed for pasta filata cheeses. Scott says, "Hi Gav, been trying lots of cheese since watching your channel. I've been particularly interested in the smoked cheeses. The best I have found for smoking is South Cape. They add paprika. Have I tried it? No, I haven't. One of the best smoked cheeses that I've had here in Australia is from King Island Dairy, which is a little island in between Victoria and Tasmania. Technically, it's part of Tasmania. And they make this fantastic smoked cheddar. And I think it's smoked with applewood. And the flavour is so intense. It is just amazing. Beautiful cheese. So if you can get your hands on some King Island Dairy smoked cheddar, then it'll blow your mind. It's the best one I've ever had. Now, I was going to smoke some cheese a while back. I've still got the gear for it, so the smoking equipment. I've even cleaned my barbecue, which I'm going to smoke it in for the trial, and it's still clean. So hopefully if we get some good weather this weekend, some sunshine, then I'll be able to show you how to smoke some cheese, because I've got some pieces of cheddar. I think I've got some double Gloucester, and some. I even got some marbled cheddar that I want to smoke. So yeah, I'll give that a go. Hopefully I'll have a video up soon so I can show you how I did it. But yes, you can add paprika to cheese, smoky paprika. Do that when you are milling the cheese. It's the best time to do it. Or you can do it as a rub. So rub the smoky paprika over the rind as the rind develops when you're making your cheese. So best time to do it. Okay, I'm way behind. I'm nearly half an hour behind. So many questions. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. Where are we? Yeah. Oh, I've skipped about 20,000 ahead here. Where am I? Sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. Oh, right, yeah, paprika. There we go. So, Barb B, have you done a video where you've used the flocculation method? If not, would you consider showing this method? Yeah, I'll do that, because that's a cheese making basics. For those who don't know what flocculation is, it's not a swear word. It's a method where you determine the curd set and how long before you cut it for various types of cheeses. Do I have a video? I've got an explanation. Let me have a look. Where is it? Flocculation. There we go. Right. So here at this is what's this website? This is my website, Little Green Cheese. This is my I haven't updated it for a while, but it's got lots of cheesy goodness. Now, there is a description on how to use the flocculation method. You can see here. And I'll just read a little bit here. It says, the flocculation method is the best way to determine the point of coagulation after adding rennet to your milk. Using a factor determined by the type of cheese you are making, you multiply the time taken for the flocculation point to help you predict the best time for a curd set. So basically, you spin a little bowl on top, and when it stops moving on top of the cheese, on top of the curds, then you multiply it by a factor, which we've got a little table here. And then we figure out when to cut the curds. So that's, join the newsletter. It's cool too. Okay, so that's the flocculation method. Yeah, I should do my own video. That video I found on YouTube that's on that in that post. It's a very good one, mind you, and it kind of explains it all. But yeah, why not? I'll do that next time I make some cheese. Okay, thank you, Barb. Aslam says, mozzarella after making coconut oil will use it. Yep. Don't know that one. Brian says, what are your top 3 cheeses from the February cheese challenge? There's a video, Brian, and Kim may find the link for it. There was the wrap up, and I can't remember the top 3 cheeses because it was in February, and a lot's happened since then, as you can well imagine. But yeah, there's a video for it, and Kim will find the link for the whatever, I think it was day 29 of the February cheese challenge, and it had the top 5 and the bottom 5. So yeah, cool. Can't speak Cyrillic, but hi from the Ukraine. Hello to you. Thank you very much for coming along. Siraj says, hi, Mr. Gavin. G'day, Siraj. Kim's put up the link to the equipment for the cheese making. Drew Dastardly says, using bought cheese reminds me of using the bottled Guinness as the yeast for my home brews. I don't think that's possible now. It's all pasteurized. Yeah, so most of the lactic bacteria are in raw milk, Drew. So if you use raw milk straight from the cow, goat, or sheep, then you don't need to add starter cultures unless you want a particular type of cheese, of course. Then you will have to add some to overcome whatever the natural lactic bacteria and molds are present in the milk. John says, and John's typing all caps, looks like it's shouting, I would like to age my cheese, but I can't get it nice and smooth. What am I doing wrong? Not sure what you're referring to there, John. Smooth as in the surface of the cheese. If that's the case, then you're not pressing it hard enough. So that's all I can gather from that question. Danielle says, g'day from Canada. G'day, Danielle. I'm really glad, I stumbled across your channel. Thank you so much. Ken says, average indoor temperature in summer is about 24 degrees, in winter about 18. Yeah, Ken, that's about typical here where I make cheese. So whatever you're doing there, I'm doing it the same here. So don't worry about that. That's all good. Kim's put up the link for the small blue cheese, the petite blue. Thank you, Kim. And the Bloomy Goat Blue with the taste test. Very nice. Kim and I love that cheese. That was so good. Starshot says, hey, Gavin. Good evening. I have a question. Are there cheese that need to age at room temperature? Are there cheese that need to age at room temperature? Let me just think. Depends on room temperature. 21's about room temperature. Yes, I have aged. Let me think. Which cheese was it? I am forgetting. No, forgot. There was one that I have aged at room temperature, but then it started to sweat, so I had to put it in the cheese cave. Can't remember what it was, but typically no. Cheeses are usually matured around 13 degrees Celsius. Or there are some, and Kim may be able to find a link as well, around the beginner's cheeses that you don't need a cheese cave for, so you can do them in the kitchen fridge. Hopefully she can find that link for you. Patricia says, Gav, a Canadian grocery chain has released a cheese advent calendar. It's terribly expensive, but I bet it would be a big seller. Yeah, indeed. I think one of our supermarkets have done the same thing here, Patricia. It's something like nearly $50 or something, and they're decent cheeses. They're not like crappy cheddar that's fallen off the back of a truck. But yeah, I have seen cheese advent calendars. Pretty cool. Um, Starshot said also, can you try to make a Baby Bell cheese? Apparently it's real cheese. Yes, it is real cheese. But it has very special pressing equipment to get them into those very small little balls. Basically, it's kind of like, I think it's cross between a Gouda and an Edam is the style of curd they use for Baby Bell. But you can make a small one of those. So, yeah, try that. Daniel says, what's the best kind of knife to cut a cheese? I just use I use a curd knife, and we sell them in the shop. So, Kim, you can put the link up to the curd knife. That'll help out Daniel there. But any long, flat knife, so like not a bread knife, that shouldn't be serrated. Just a long, flat knife, that'll do. That's the best way. If you're going to use a knife, if you're going to use a curd harp, then there's probably links below in the description, I think, to where you can get them in the US. Usually just Google, and you should be able to find somewhere local where people are making curd harps. Colt Nino says, Daniel, I think wire works best. Yeah, it does. Most commercial cheesemakers use wire, so that's cool. Where am I? Wire. Yep. So, homesteading the pioneer way. You are amazing. Oh, thank you very much. To remember all this, Thank you so much for all you teachers. Yeah, I've got a it's not a photographic memory. No, I don't know if that's the right word, but I do remember facts and from the experience that I've had as well. I've made over. What did I say the other day? I told Kim it was 114 different types of cheese. So you kind of get a little bit of experience from making that much cheese. You have some successes. Well, more successes are good, and you learn from your mistakes and failures. But there's never a cheese failure because you can always make something out of it, or you can always eat it, usually. But thank you very much. Ryan says, hello from Pennsylvania. So I think it's how you say it. Today is Tuesday evening. Yes, and it's Wednesday morning here. Timey travel. It's amazing. And we make cheese every Tuesday. Very cool. It just so happens that we can watch your stream while we make our own cheese. Today is Swiss and mozzarella. Fantastic. Thank you, Ryan, for watching, and everybody else there who is watching as well. Very cool. Zorana says, I can't find a cream without the gum additives here in Houston. Will that affect the texture and flavour of the cheese? Yes, it will. It may not set curd properly if you have that, what's it, Carrageenan gum or something that's in the cream. There must have a look in health food shops. They usually have things that are a lot purer than what supermarkets tend to. So Zorana, try that. You'll find a lot of health food stores will stock things like organic milk, pure cream, that sort of stuff. Craig says, and g'day Craig, just down the road. Hey Gavin, I have my own truffled honey that I use over Stilton. It is to die for. So if you are ever over my way, I'll give you some to try it. That would be fantastic, Craig. Sounds like a special trip. Meet the Curd Nerds. Maybe that'll be a new segment. Meeting people who are in our local area. That would be most excellent. I'll have to talk to Kim about that. Nakana, I think that's how you pronounce it. What's the best temperature for aging the hard cheese? I'm from Bali, and Bali is always hot. Indeed, it is hot in Bali. Best temperature for aging hard cheese is about 13 degrees Celsius, so between 11 and 13. Did I say 12? 13. 11 and 13 Celsius. Now, there should be a link to my cheese fridge. Kim, if you can put that up, please, darling, that would be fabulous. Pop up the link to the video on my cheese fridge cave, whatever it's called. Colino says, got to make some ricotta. Indeed, ricotta is very simple, and Kimmy's probably put the link up there already. Maybe. We'll see. Ambrose says, when I go to the supermarket, I sometimes sea cheese with red or green veining next to the blue cheese. Is this a different mold or some sort of dye? Red mold, never seen that. Red mold on the outside of your cheese, yes, indeed. It's called Brevibacteria linens, and it is to make washed rind cheeses. Very delicious. Got to make some. It's delicious. I've got quite a few recipes on the channel for washed rind cheeses, like Munster, Tilsit. Oh, God, what's it called? I think it's Ochre, St. Paulin, something like that. Port Salut. Yeah, it could be it. I don't know. Yeah. There's some of the cheeses. But yeah, check them out. Welsh Ross says, hi, Gavin from Wales. Hi, Welsh Ross. Michael says, sorry, I must go now, but I love you, Kim and Gavin. Always in my prayers for a speedy recovery, Kim. Have a great day. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Aussie Cigars and Pipes says, hi, Gav. I've made a few cheeses using your videos as a guide. I'm now making a cheese every Saturday and loving it. Well done. That's kind of what happened to me. I went on a cheese making course way back in the day, 2009, 10 years ago. Yeah, 10 years ago now. My goodness. I went on a cheese making course and learned how to make cheese, and then I got the turophile bug, the lover of cheese. And I made cheese every weekend to start with. It was just craziness. And then I had to buy the gear and went down the bloody kitchen shop and bought all the good stuff. And then found specialty shops, and there wasn't many around at the time. That's why we created our store, littlegreenworkshops.com.au. And then then I just make cheese and showed people. It was really cool. Yeah, getting close to the end of the show. We've only got 8 minutes to go because we've got to go and pack lots of orders that we've got. It's a bit of a Christmas rush at the moment in the online store. Kim said, super chat, Gavin, if you really want your question answered, indeed. If you want to get that answer, because I'm not going to get through them all because there's heaps here. Dominique says, good morning. G'day, Dominique. A YouTube member. Thank you very much. Morning. If I want to make a pesto gouda, when should I put the pesto into the curd? I would mix it in just before you press it. So just before you put it into the mold. Best time to add it in. Now, Gouda is, if I remember rightly, brined. This old bloke's head's not working quite well today, but add it before you press it. So it's the only time you should add it. You may find that the pesto is fairly oily and you'll get a bit of oil seepage during the air drying time, maybe, because there's a fair bit of olive oil in pesto. So give it a go. And there's a lot of garlic as well. Well, when I make pesto, there's lots of garlic in it anyway. And you may get some sulfur overtones as well. But you give it a go. Give it a go. What they do commercially these days usually is once the Gouda is matured, they break it up. So they kind of shred it, mix the pesto through, and then repress it again. And that's how you find they make most of them. But if you can do it at home, then, yeah, probably best to add it just before you mold it. Zorana says, I'm dealing with some cross-contamination inside my cheese cave or cheese fridge. Should I just age the same types of cheese? I'm getting blue mold on my manchego. No, if you use ripening boxes, you shouldn't have any issues, and make sure you clean the ripening boxes out and sanitize those before you put your cheese in. And you shouldn't get too much cross-contamination. I tend not to. Although having said that, the kefili that I've made is covered in white mold. I've got to clean that off today because I don't think I can't remember if I sprayed. I'll start again. The ripening box that I put it in, I put in the dishwasher on a hot wash and cleaned it. Now, I can't remember if I sprayed it with vinegar afterwards. So I went to use it, and it may be contaminated white mold. But, just use ripening boxes. It stops cross-contamination. Kim put the link up for the 29-day wrap-up Cheese a Day challenge. Hope that helped whoever asked that question. Sorry about that. Justin says, what homemade cheese do you recommend to make for people who aren't as interested in strong, more complex flavoured cheeses? Oh, well, definitely fresh cheeses to start with. And Justin, try Kafili. That video will be released soon as well. Only takes 3 weeks to mature. It's very good. Okay, so where are we up to? John says American Dairy uses gum arabic and carrageenan gum that will glop up your cheese making process and prevent it from properly setting curds or just making thick, slimy cottage cheese curdy yogurt. Yeah, indeed. Thanks, John. Yes, it will. It's another $10 super chat from Occult Nino. Thank you, Occult Nino. Be well, Weber family. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. And thank you for your kind $10 super chat. Okay, Kim's put up the link for the beginner's cheese list with no cheese cave. Jonathan says, have you ever made soft cheese like cream cheese? Indeed. Kim's probably put the link up already. And the link to the curd knife. Thanks, darling. Starshot says, can you try Brunost? It's a brown whey cheese. Yep, I've made my sauce, which is the same-ish. And there should be a link for that somewhere, Kim. Spelled Mysost, I think it's pronounced. Or written. Dwayne says, hello, Gavin. G'day, Dwayne. John says, just a very small barbecue heat and lots of smoke, and you will have great smoked cheese. Yeah, I'm actually not going to turn the barbecue on, John. I'm going to just use, it's a hooded barbecue. So I'm just going to use the hood. I've got a smoker, a cold smoker, and I'm using, what's it? Could be apple wood or hickory wood, I think, is what I've chosen to smoke the cheese. So it's going to be cold smoked, so no heat. Adam says, are you going to make Paranisa? I think that's how you say it, cheese. I've never heard of it, but I'll have a look. Why not? It's very interesting, the world of cheese making. I love it. I've got to find your question again. Paranisa. I'll have a look. Dwayne says, what's your favourite cheese you've made? All of them. All the cheeses. Kim's found the Mysost. That's great. Thank you, honey. Anthony says, I found your channel just going down the YouTube rabbit hole. I love watching people create different things. I've been enjoying your videos for quite a while now, mate. Appreciate all the insights. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. We've got another question, another super chat. Just kill that off. Din Arose, thank you so much for your $10 super chat. Your question is, my ripening boxes get too humid. I get cross-contamination because I have to crack them open. Any suggestions? Yes. So you need to make sure that you wipe them out every week. That's what I do with a paper towel. So condensation obviously gets on the lid. You don't want that dropping down on the cheese. So once a week, wipe the lid, wipe the box. If worse gets to worse, put some paper towel underneath the mat so it absorbs some of the moisture and then remove that. Obviously, it's a good way to do it. So that's some of the ways that I get rid of some of the moisture. And if they're really too moist, let them air dry with the lid off for a day on the kitchen bench, and then they dry out a bit and they're less humid when you put the lid on. So that's some of the ways I do it, because I've had that issue as well. Mike on Tube, I think that was wherever I found it. Oh, no, we're out of time. Out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Kim's doing the wrap-up. Sorry about that. I didn't get to everybody's questions. But yep, we can answer them next Wednesday, so that'll be cool. Now, don't forget to... when we're doing the wrap-up. Gav, what's going on? Right. So, I'm very confused. Don't forget to pop over to littlegreenworkshops.com.au if you're in the market for buying some cheese-making kits, equipment, molds, rennet, baskets, ingredients, all that sort of stuff. We ship globally. except to some of the band questions. But yeah, it's we get it there, and it's get it there safe, even the cultures, and I've had no complaints, so that's fantastic. Don't forget you can support us. You can either hit the join button. Hang on, where's my big screen? Hit the join button below to become a financial YouTube member. That would be cool. Or you can go over to Patreon. The links are in the description below. And don't forget the merch. Got a new shirt. Well, here we go. G'day, Curd Nerds. There it is. There I am. G'day, Curd Nerds. So you can get that. That's on the merch shelf down below over at teespring.com/stores/cheeseman.tv. You can also get cups. It's very cool. And drink your coffee like a Curd Nerd. Okay. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We will be here next Wednesday for our next show. Thank you so much. Without all your questions, it wouldn't be a show. And I apologise that I didn't get to all of them because there were so many. But yeah, come again next week and ask your question there. Well, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I will see you next time. And there'll be a video this week eventually. But yeah, that's cool. See you later.